It's an
I mean, I'm
unfair
not getting
system.
anything from that.
If it was actually protected, and let's say all the money you put in was invested in some S&P 500 vehicle or some type of index, okay, well that makes sense, but it's not. It's just a fucking line item budget. It's a non-existent system. It's all tied into the overall debt system. So it's illegitimate to begin with, and we're lying to ourselves. This is a fraud and a deception.
The thing is not illegitimate, man. It was passed by FDR.
Wait, hold on. Well, it was passed by FDR, but here's the point that I think a lot of people miss when they think about Social Security. The Supreme Court's already said that this is not a guarantee. If the government at any point in time decides to not pay it, there's no recourse for the American people. Period. This is not a guarantee, and the Supreme Court's already ruled on this.
So the average American contributes $400,000 over her lifetime, which the companies match. So if you offered buyouts of $250,000, I wonder what percentage of the public would take that. I bet you would be a significant portion.
Yeah, I mean, how much does that 400,000 matched by 400,000? So $800,000. How much ends up being paid out at the end of their lives? Like, I guess you could say that's what it grows to. It probably doesn't grow to very much.
Can I run some ignorant ideas that I thought about Social Security when I was younger?
Go for it.
Yeah. When I was younger, I thought, you put this money into Social Security, they would put it into a place that they'd protect it and would gain interest. And those of us who didn't make it to the age of where you'd get it, that money that they didn't make it would go into the fund. So I thought it was like an insurance type thing where it was guaranteed as long as they didn't invest it in stuff that lost money. Like a bank, for example. You get whatever interest back in the day, whatever that interest was. So you put your money into this holdings, and it was guaranteed when you get to a certain age that you would get that back, plus some, hopefully, with interest. So I know I'm ignorant on that whole concept of it all, but I thought the variables, insurance-wise, like the people that would die and the people that would live, and I granted people are living longer, right? So the less into the fund, it's all confusing in so many levels, but I thought it was a guaranteed, especially for a guy like me who's been working for many years, but into this fund that is supposed to be like a savings account. And it always blows my mind that people are manipulating, like investing in ways that aren't safe. And why are they investing in it in the first place when it's supposed to be like, in my opinion, and I'm wrong, I guess, because I don't know enough about it. I just put it in year after year after year. My time has come where I should be getting it. And apparently, for the most part, it's not as stable as I thought it would be when I was a younger kid. So I'm ignorant on the whole matter of it all, obviously. But
I think, Mark, for your generation, I think you get it. I'm not. When FDR created the program, it was not intended to be a savings program. His pitch to Congress was that it was a program for dignity at the end of an elderly person's life. Because there, at that point, post-Depression, there were a lot of older folks in America who were food insecure, who didn't have adequate housing, who, for lack of a better word...
But Marshall, that's not where dignity comes from. That's not where dignity comes from.
Please just let me finish. I'm not saying my view. I'm saying what FDR advertised to Congress. His advertisement was that those people deserved a pittance at the very end of their lives so that they could live their last 10 to 20 years out in comfort. It's become a retirement program, which it was never meant to be. It was only
it's not a retirement program.
Edmund, for the love of Christ, let me finish. It was not meant to be a retirement program. It was meant to be a program for, quote, dignity, as FDR said. And if we treated it like FDR treated Social Security,
It's a taxation
we
program.
would not, dude, stop, for the love of God. Then we would not be paying out to so many people. Edmund, if you want me not to get mad at you, please don't interrupt me in the middle of my thought. It fucking fears me off, bro.
So can I just say, because I've been listening to you guys, and someone mentioned the buyout. When you do the buyout for Social Security, because it's an interesting plan, my question then goes to the other social programs that we have. Are you going to scale them down? Because what I would say is that we will see a significant portion. Obviously, I would take it. I would be like, yeah, give me my money and I'll invest it and do things that I want to. But what are you going to scale back, say, SNAP benefits? Or are you going to expand SNAP benefits to actually include those? What about the various HUD programs, the housing assistance programs, HEAP, the associated various utility configurations that are out there for social programs across all the states? Are you going to then reduce those? Because what I would see is a significant jump on reliance of those services. And what we will have is a very dynamic political spectrum that will broadly expand those, thus massively increasing taxation for all of these different programs. And they would actually raise taxes, saying, don't you want to keep people's heat on up in the north? They're dying.
No. Hold on, Hanson. I want to just get you guys clear on what the Supreme Court has already said about some of these programs. There's three really important points. Social Security and Medicare are tax-funded government programs. They're not personal contracts. Number two, you have no legal property right to the money you've paid in. And number three, this is the most important part, Congress can legally change, reduce, or even eliminate benefits at any time for any group.
Yeah, that's all the reason for not having all of these, none of these.
Before we can agree on what gets cut, can't we agree that spending $2 trillion that we don't have annually and borrowing it has to stop, and then we distribute the cuts based on $2 trillion that we're no longer borrowing? Isn't that a good place to start from agreement?
Brad seems to be...
Why don't you get the fat from the top, the third-party management company that makes billions of dollars, right? Why don't we do that?
Well, Don, because what you just said was you were addressing billions of dollars, and what American Party indicated is that we have a deficit annually of $2 trillion. What he's saying is, why couldn't we restrict our spending to what we generate in terms of tax revenue? So if we're pulling in, say, like in 2024, $5 trillion, do you think it would have been a bad idea to say that spending should be no more than $5 trillion? I mean, we already have $37 trillion in debt. Moving forward, what would be a valid argument in support of adding additional debt? I think common sense would dictate that within your own budget, you would stick within your means. Why is it that we're allowed to, at a government level, spend $2 trillion more than what we take? It makes no sense. And the only way that it makes sense is if the government is literally saying, we don't care because at the end of the day, we have no plan of repaying this debt. And maybe there's been talk about looking at past models of debt jubilee, and just erasing the debt and just saying, okay, hey, things have gotten out of control. We need to do a reset. We're just gonna ignore all this previous debt. I'm not smart enough to calculate what the unintended consequences of doing such a thing would be, because we live in different times from hundreds and thousands of years ago when this was actually a common practice.
I would hate for the conversation to move too far beyond like the point Brad raised before we come back to it, I guess, because I think he raised a serious question, which is, if we eliminate Social Security, maybe for reasons of public policy, not because we're obligated to, but just pragmatically, we may end up having to increase SNAP benefits and other things. I'm not sure that's true, but I think it's a legitimate question. Like, if we remove some elements of the social safety net, well, what is going to prevent us from having to make it up through other elements of the social safety net? Maybe we just need a society. Maybe that just needs to be our steely-eyed, glare and like hardness and tough love. Maybe that's what's going to prevent it. But then we need to be prepared to do that.
Jason, my point in bringing that up is because I'll also add the dose of realism into the political fray that we have. So if the success is to say, hey, we're going to offer a buyout, but the Social Security program is definitely ending, so you can get your buyout now, collect your money, move on, and then we'll focus on the debt. I think it's an interesting one. I think you'd have to work on it, but I think it's a good rabbit hole to go down, and it could be fruitful. But my concern is then on the political spectrum, because remember, we're not the only ones in charge. We're not the only ones that are focused on the debt, because there's massive amounts of other people that don't give a shit about the debt. That political spectrum